Hello and welcome to South Sligo Talks, a community podcast for the people of Tubbercurry and South Sligo, recorded in the new podcast studio here in Uncree in Tubbercurry. I'm Richard McCarthy, and this week we have our South Sligo councillor Martin Connolly with us. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you for joining us.
Hello to everybody.
Very good. I suppose we'll start with, we'll go straight into it, Martin. I suppose let's start from the beginning. How did you start in politics?
Well, I suppose my family were steeped in politics from an early age. My father and mother, they were neighbours. They didn't travel too far, and they were both come from Fine Gael backgrounds. They wouldn't force politics on you, but I grew up with listening to this in the family, and listening to the conversations. And from an early age, I enjoyed the buzz of it, I suppose. I got involved early with young Fine Gael and, was an activist, we'll call it, for canvassing, for, whatever had to be done down through the years. And it just developed that way. I would never push politics on anybody or even push my views on anybody, but it just developed down that road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose when you say there was a lot of political discussion, was it mainly about kind of local politics, or was it national politics? What was happening in the country?
Well, it should be both. It should be national politics. And of course, that came from an era where there was a lot of bitterness in politics. It wouldn't be quite as bad today. And as we all know, what were opposition parties at the time are now a coalition. So you've seen major changes down through the years,
Yeah. And would have been any major rows over it at all, or kind of a? Well,
no, healthy discussion. It wouldn't come to blows now or to rows. No, there'd be a healthy discussion, and on budget day, and there'd be a very intense listening to the budget and.
Yeah,
who gained, who lost, or, the usual, and that's still there today.
And again, I think, and the key word you said there is discussion, because I come from my father be stoked to Fianna Fáil and this kind of stuff, and down in Kerry, and every time we go down, we're talking. It's all about politics, and he's always kind of key on it, and he's in his 90s now. But my mum used to always give out to me, because it would start kind of, oh God, they're going into politics and a whole lot, but it was something to talk about, and that was the big thing. It was a discussion. So it's great to kind of see kind of in families.
Well, it is. And I think maybe today that's something that's missing. Everybody sort of brushes it under the carpet and brushes it away, and I couldn't be bothered with that. But you should be bothered with it, because it affects you directly.
Absolutely. And it's people's opinion. Like, we've come to this kind of era now of people are afraid to express their opinion, because they're afraid that if they say something the wrong thing, it'll be picked up wrong. And it's lovely to see debate in the schools and a whole lot as well. But, people talking things out, and give your opinion, and don't force it down somebody's throat. But you have to be able to give your opinion.
Well, you have to be able to give your opinion. And, I think maybe there should be more of it in the secondary schools anyways, because it is their future.
Absolutely.
And you have to be very careful. People don't realise what change can bring in politics, and they need to discuss it, and they need to be on top of what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose, speaking of Fine Gael, were you aligned to Fine Gael from the start? Would all the family be Fine Gael?
Well, they would, and I was. And then a former councillor, Michael Fleming, would have been a cousin of mine, and I would have helped him down through the years with election campaigns, and I was his director of elections, and I just went along with the flow that way, and I was always involved in it, and I would always have been steeped in it.
Good. And it's great to see, because it's one of these things where I don't think people realise the work that goes on behind the scenes for local councillors and local politicians. It's like there's so much going on in the background. I would have met you numerous times, Martin, at different meetings and different events and the whole lot, that you have to be kind of in depth with the community. They have to see what's going on,
Oh, very much so. And it is a time consuming job. You have to attend meetings, you have to attend functions. You're expected to be there, and you should be there. That's your job, to represent these communities in the council, and even at national level if need be, if that type of problem crops up.
Yeah.
And it's very important to be there at these meetings and know what the people is thinking and what the people want and what they're looking for their own areas.
Yeah, exactly. And that is key in the whole thing in regards to, like, we'll say, if you're not involved, like, there's no point sitting on the sideline and, you know, shouting from the sideline. If you don't participate, if you don't get involved in what's happening in your community, you know, you won't change anything.
No, you won't change anything. And you get an element of that fiddler on the ditch, commenting on what's happening, but you have to get in there and give your views at meetings.
Yeah.
You have to listen to other people too. Like, you cannot push everything on top of people, but everybody should have an element of community involvement at some level. Like, it is time consuming, but it's worth it in the long run.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And you're involved here with Cllr as well. I've met you numerous times here in regards to the meetings here and the whole lot. You know, what did you think of Cllr kind of when it started out? Would say you've been involved from the start, I'd say, as well. You know, I
wasn't here just at the start of Cllr setting up, because I was appointed as a representative of the council after I was elected.
Okay.
But going back to probably my point before that, I didn't know what was going on here. But once I came in here and seen what this building is about, you know, and work remote offices there for rent, this podcast room, this is the state of the art. Yeah. It doesn't get any better than this anywhere. Yeah. State of the art facility, meeting rooms.
Yeah.
Everything is here. And I don't think that the people realise around the area, I don't think they realise what is actually in this building and what is here for them to use, for the public to use, for the local people to use, and get their message out there. You know.
Yeah. I suppose we'll go back to kind of the election. I suppose what triggered you to go for election?
Well, it was really, it just happened. We had a man selected to go for the council, and through family reasons he couldn't go. He had to pull out of it. Yeah. So we had a meeting, and mistakenly maybe said, well, if we cannot get a candidate, I will go myself. No more said. That was it.
That was it.
So look, I hadn't thought about it that much, and I hadn't really ever intended running for the council. I was quite happy helping in the background, but I was glad I took it on then. I was glad, and I really enjoyed the campaign, and you know, it was stressful at times. When it's okay when you're in the background, but when you're the front man, it's a different story.
Yeah. You know? So the experience itself was challenging enough.
It was challenging, It was challenging, and you know, maybe I hadn't enough of research done, like, you know, to know what I was getting myself into or what was going to happen, you know.
But I think I like that. I like that kind of approach in regards to, you know, it wasn't, you know, kind of it was authentic. It wasn't fake or anything. It was literally, here's a local man literally wanted to represent his area and to represent South Sligo and the whole lot. And like, you know, from day to day, you meet so many people in your job as well, like your normal 9-to-5 job as well.
While I do, I'm nearly dealing with the public. I'm 35 years a postman, and I'm dealing with the public on a daily basis. And I hear their opinions, and I hear their thoughts on things. And, you know, I love to help communities, to try and get communities up and running, and try and, you know, even the GAA, I don't think they get enough of respect for what they do for kids and young people. You know, the hours and hours of volunteerism that's put in there on a football field. Yeah. You couldn't pay for that.
No, exactly. And again, you're back to the whole volunteer thing that, you know, like there's a lot of things that you probably are involved in that are benefit to the community, but literally, you know, you're able to help out in that regards. And the fact that you're a postman makes you more approachable. And I love the fact that literally, you know, we think like politicians, they're not reachable, or, you know, you have to book an appointment a whole lot, whereas you're out day by day and you'd have people kind of saying to you, oh, Martin, you know, is there anything you could do about this? Or did you hear about this? And you're hearing... You're at the ground level.
You're at the ground level, and you're hearing what concerns them, what concerns people on the ground.
That's good.
And, you know, it's lovely, and like people do think sometimes that politicians aren't unreachable, but they are. We're here in the community. We don't mind a phone call, so long as it isn't too late at night. Don't mind a phone call anytime, and we'll do what we can.
Yeah, and that's the other side of it. It is a full-time job. Like, it's not a 9-to-5 job. Like, you're what would the average time you get home at night, I'd say?
Well, usually 5 out of every 7 nights there's a meeting at some level. Let it just be in the local community centre or in the town here, or maybe further afield in Sligo at a function or something. There's always a meeting on during the weekend. You get used to it. You get used to it.
And from a family perspective, is it hard to kind of carve out family time and stuff as well? And
it is. I would probably be lucky in the sense that my family is reared, growing up and doing their own thing, and that was a big push to me when I did take it on, and when I went to my family and talked about it. It's really not a job for somebody with young kids now, and where you have to be at football matches with them and dancing and events like that. Because it's very time consuming. But I was lucky enough, I was in a different position for that. Yeah. And I have a good wife that I think she was glad to see me going in that time.
Absolutely. And I suppose we'll say I presume you'd have a team around you as well from a support basis outside of family. There would be a team of people that would have helped you in your election process and also help you on an ongoing basis.
Oh yes, like there would be a strong Fine Gael club in this area, and we wouldn't meet that often, but they would fall in behind you at election time, and they're always available to canvass or to put up posters or whatever needs doing, on them days. We would have a very strong group that way, and they were really behind me, and they really helped me in an awful lot of ways.
Yeah. And the one thing I kind of notice is, we'll say, in a more urban area, like we say in Dublin, the whole lot, it's all gone online. It's all Twitter and this whole debacle kind of, it's like keyboard warriors and stuff like that. Do you find kind of rurally, it's more on the, like you said, it's on the ground, it's boots on the ground that helps more than kind of, or do you have to deal with that kind of stuff like Twitter and all the other kind of social media sites?
Well, you do. It was probably one of the shocks I got after I got elected was the comments.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that. It took me a while to come to terms with it. It doesn't bother me at all now. I don't even read it.
Good.
But going back to the first question there, my belief is knocking on the doors. You can put up as much as you like on social media. You talk to the people, knock on the door, have a word with them. Yeah. You get into the base of your vote there, and you get into the base of what people want.
Yeah, very good. I suppose we'll say from being through the process, would you kind of say, for example, if a family decided they wanted to kind of get into the process, would you kind of, the way politics is now, it probably isn't the same from when you started your passion for politics and all. If you had people coming up behind you, do you think they'd have the same kind of experience, I suppose?
Well, politics has changed a lot now. If some of my family wish to follow in my footsteps, they'd really want to do it themselves, They'd really want to be a politician. If you don't, and if you're anyway doubtful about that, it's not the place to be, because it has changed an awful lot now.
Yeah.
And people expect an awful lot from a politician today, and rightly so. I have no issue with that now, but just it's not what it used to be. It's not the very friendly atmosphere that it used to be years ago.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I think that's the other issue here, in that we'll say we have a level of people kind of saying we want you to do X, Y, and Z, and it could be completely out of your remit, and like people think that you're like they're paying your wages and all this whole kind of mentality of kind of, you're supposed to do whatever we say, and we need to get out of this kind of mentality.
Yeah. You're the first port to call, but a lot of what would come to county councillors is a way over our heads. Like, it's national politics and even fairer afield. But you do what you can with it. You bring it to your TDs, to your local TDs, and hopefully that they'll bring it forward to the national politics. So, you get a vast array of inquiries from roads. Of course, Housing is the big issue today, and you really feel so sorry for people today when they get a notice of vacating their home, and they come to us, and there's nothing there for them. There isn't, exactly. You know, we have had 10 new units in Cllr. There's 15 more will be finished by the end of the year, but sure, it's only a drop in the ocean of what's needed.
Yeah, and we'll say in relation to, like we say, Sligo County Council itself, I suppose, we'll say, what does Sligo County Council do, and what decisions are made at a local level? Like we'll say, what's the main involvement with Sligo County Council, you know?
Well, we have our local monthly meeting, and, you know, probably the main weapon as a councillor you have is what we call emotion. And when we feel strongly about an issue and we bring it as a motion to Sligo County Council, it has to be dealt with. That's one of the main weapons we have as county councillors. A motion has to be dealt with. It's in the public domain, and it has to be answered by the officials in Sligo County Council, and it has to be followed up on.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. That's one of our main weapons, if you want to call it that. You know, to get something done and get movement on some issue.
Yeah. And I suppose we'll say, it's like you said, like it's from being, we'll say, at the ground level, hearing what people think. They have to voice these things to you, but it takes time. There is a process. So literally, when somebody comes, a local person comes to you and they have an issue with something, you're raising it at a council level, and then it goes from there. So like we'll say, from the council level, is it something that gets debated, or is it kind of literally, when you raise the motion, do you find a lot of stuff is getting lost in debate, or does it, the action kind of appear? Well,
it is debated, and it's debated openly, but you have to keep after it after that, or it can be left on the shelf. Yeah. You know, you have to keep reminding directors of services and staff in the council to get it pushed forward, you know.
Yeah.
Depending on what issue you're involved in.
And we'll say, going from that level then to, we'll say, a national level, we'll say, is there much interaction between the council and national politicians?
There'd be fair interaction between our local TDs and councillors. We would have weekly meetings with them, or definitely on the phone anyways. Like, you may not meet them directly, but you'll be on the phone. A lot of the issues that would come to us would have to be passed on to a TD, you know, or a public representative. The lather.
What I suppose, what are the most common requests, we say, from the electorate, we say, from people? What's the most common requests?
Well, look, it varies. With housing would be the biggest issue. It's roads. Passports was an awful problem there for a couple of months. It seems to have eased off a little bit, you know, at the moment. It can vary from
week to week.
From week to week, yeah. One of the big things that we would all be involved in now would be the home improvement grants that the council administer.
Yeah.
You know, an awful lot of people with disabilities and elderly people and that get little bits done with their houses, you know, bathroom done up, you know, a little bit with roofing and that. We would spend a lot of time at that, helping people fill forms and, you know, getting it through the council. It's slow. It's a very slow process, and it's there's an awful lot of paperwork has to be submitted properly. Like,
exactly. Like you said, that there's a process to things as
well.
Process. Yeah. Outside, it would say the council itself. It was saying, what other clubs and associations and kind of are you involved in? I suppose, like as you said, you're involved in the GAA as well and the whole lot. And
well, I have always been involved in the GAA and with training teams and everything else. And my other big passion then would be the Mylaw, the centre in Mylaw, and we have. I've always been involved in that and with the building of it, and I'm the chairman of that at the moment. And we had a massive tractor event there
I saw
on Monday.
Some of the photos as well. Like there was literally, the car park was full of red tractors, and it was fantastic to see.
160 tractors and vintage cars on top of that, and I think something like 250 people done the 5k walk. Yeah. So very involved in that. I'm also on the committee of the Coleman Centre in Gorchin.
Very good.
Another fantastic facility in South Sligo.
Yeah.
Doing very well at the moment and putting on performers every week now, and it's very, very successful at the moment and sold out on most nights.
Excellent.
We set up here a community first responder group here in the town.
Great.
I don't know if a lot of people is aware of it yet. If you dial an ambulance service, like for a heart attack or stroke or anything, we are automatically dispatched to that, and we should be there 15-20 minutes ahead of an ambulance.
Oh, fantastic.
To assist there's a group of 12 of us, and of course we're training up more people all the time to use defibrillators and to use all them things. Like, it's another good asset to the town.
Absolutely.
People get a bit of a shock at times when they see us turning up because they don't know what we're about yet, but eventually people will get to know.
It is good to see. Like my cousin down in Kerry, she's a first responder like that as well, and it's great to see because like the health system is, you know, struggling in regards to there's so much they're trying to do, and ambulances are a scarcity at times, we say, and you know it's another level, which is great.
Well, an ambulance is 30 minutes from Cllr. It's either dispatched from Sligo or Ballina, and it's, you know, with traffic and everything, you're looking at a half hour to get to site, and we cover a 10 kilometre circle around Cllr. So if we're there, we're usually there in 5-10 minutes, you know, and we can be of some assistance.
Yeah,
you know, we can help people, and if there's 2 or 3 of us in it, it's a great help to the casualty or to the person that's in trouble at that time. Good. You know, at least it gives them a bit of confidence that somebody is there. You know,
very good. And is that literally, is there kind of a way we can kind of promote that, or is there a name behind it, or is just? Well,
we're attached to the National Ambulance Service, and they automatically send a text to our phone with the air code of the house that made the phone call, and we have our own system then through WhatsApp to contact each other, you know, to say I'm on scene, I have a defibrillator with me, or whatever. We have just little thumbs up or a signal, and we know what we need then ourselves, you know.
That's very good. Yeah, and you're back to the scenario where community helping community.
Community again, and if anybody wants to be trained up in using a defibrillator or that, we are constantly running courses. Bernie Cllr on the Ballina Road runs courses in the one-stop shop and in the centre of Mila on a regular basis.
I'm going to have to sign up for that now. I do think it's a fantastic idea, because the minutes are so vital. We'll say in some scenarios where, you know, you can save a person's life, you know, by knowing how to use the defibrillator, by knowing basic first aid. I think we've moved away from the scenario where we expect doctors and nurses to be able to administer first aid, and like they're in the hospitals, you need kind of that level of community first aid as well. You do, because the quicker you receive first aid, the better your chances. It's as simple as that, and it has been so successful on numerous occasions now that once the ambulance arrives, like the patient is stabilised and everything, well, you're halfway there. Exactly. That's it. I suppose we'll say, what gives you the greatest satisfaction from your job? Well, when somebody comes to you with an issue or a problem and you get it across the line for them, you will get great satisfaction out of that. Yeah. You know, even the filling out of the forms when they're granted, they're so thankful when they get some little thing done for their house, and you're so happy then that the people are, you know, that they're rewarded for their efforts and everything else. Yeah. Just one little example now was the lovely forest walk that's out in the Ballina Road. Arrivo had put that site for sale. So I approached the county manager, because my fear was that a contractor would buy it and maybe build houses on it or something, so you'd have no entrance to the walk. And anyways, cut a long story short, Sligo County Council bought the car park. Very good. For the entrance to that forest walk. So you'd be very satisfied with them type of things. At least it's there now for the people. We will get the car park surfaced over time, and at least it's all in place, and they're not going to lose the entrance to it, you know. That's good. Very good. Little things like that, they keep cropping up, you know. Yeah. And it probably feels like little bit of a kind of, it encourages you to kind of keep going as well. Well, it does, of course. You won't win every battle. You won't win them all, and you won't get everything done. But it gives you great encouragement to keep at it and continue and keep trying all the time anyways, when you do have some successes. Yeah. And do you find, would say, like, is it what frustrates you the most, would say, in the job? Trying to get through to Sligo County Council, trying to get through the offices, trying to get work's done, you know. It's very frustrating sometimes,
people are ringing you then and they're saying, they think you should have an update for them.
You think you have like a bat phone or something that you can pick up.
You have got no answer back. It can be frustrating, and you're trying to be nice about it and not, not... You can't afford to be falling out with the office staff or any of them either. You have to deal with them every day. So.
They have a job to do as well.
They have a job to do.
But I think it's good that we'll say, when you do get frustrated with these things, that if there is a process that okay, keep pushing. Like things won't happen overnight, so you do have to keep pushing.
The whole process in the council is slow. Things take their time. Everything has to be double checked and looked after, and we all know that, and it is a slow process, but like they are very, very good, and they're very, very helpful, and they're there to serve the people too. That's their job at the end of the day, and that's, they know that, and they're there to help people. So all in all, we get over them problems very easily,
which is good. I suppose one thing we kind of, from a more serious tone in with regards to, one of my pet peeves the negative side of social media, the negative side of news. That I always say that, if RTE did literally the first 5 minutes was the good news, 6 o'clock news, and then the next 5 minutes was the bad news, I guarantee you half the country would switch off after 5 minutes. But we say, the ongoing stuff, nationally with the Ditch website and ongoing spats with Paddy Cosgrove and all this, this kind of stuff, do you find literally it's taken away from politics?
Well, it is, because it's all negative.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of positive out there, but you don't hear it on the 6 o'clock news. You will hear the negative.
Yeah.
But as regards to them type of incidents, you have to be transparent in what you do.
Absolutely.
And maybe that gentleman, is more than capable of doing that job, but it has to be transparent and it has to be overboard. And like, if it isn't, it's not, there's nowhere for it in politics, nowhere for it in any organisation in the country. It has to be transparent. You have to do an interview. You can't be just appointed willy-nilly, so.
Exactly. I think that there's two sides to it in regards to, like, a pen never refused ink. Paper never refused ink, I think is the right expression. But there's always two sides to each story. And I think it's a good thing that we're starting to get back into kind of, telling both sides of the story. Like, it's good to have a debate, but let both sides talk. Don't literally just all bad news. There is some positivity out there as well to every story.
There's always positivity, and there's always a good side to everything. And it's up to the media to bring that forward, and not always be on the negative and always on the back foot, because people get fed up of listening to that then, and they don't engage.
Yeah.
You'd be inclined to knock it off and not listen to it.
Exactly. I suppose from let's go further afield. We'll say, do you have much interaction with Europe? We'll say in your role.
Not as much as you might like to have. I was on a delegation to Brussels last July or August, and we brought a few issues with us, and we met with MEP Maria Welch out there, and we were listened to, and they had officials there, and we all said our piece, and but I don't think there's enough of interaction, because the decisions made in Brussels affects everybody in the long run. And again, we think, that's a way out there, that's not going to affect me. But let me tell you, from a farming community and a farming background myself, every decision that's made in Brussels will affect you.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It might take it 5 years to appear, but it will affect you.
Yeah.
And we would need more interaction with MEPs and with Brussels, because they govern everything. At the end of the day, they have to okay a budget, and they have to okay everything that goes on in their member states. So it's we need more interaction with them.
Very good. Because I remember I was listening this week, and they were talking about 16-year-olds. I think there was an EU directive now that they want 16-year-olds to be able to drive, but with a limited car and the whole lot. And it was great to hear the debate that was going on with it, and one of the areas that they were saying about how a lot of 16-year-olds, boys especially, would say they'd know how to, to drive the tractor and the whole lot and everything as well. And they were a vital resource in regards to rural. So some things that might work in Europe mightn't work in rural Ireland, from that perspective. There's a lot of things like that.
Well, yes, but again, you're back to the discussion and debate on it. And maybe you think 16 is a bit young to be driving, but we were all driving at 16, maybe not overboard, but we were driving. And, you know, especially from a farming background, you'll be driving tractors and farming machinery. You may not be out on the main road with it, but you were driving it. Again, it's an open discussion, and it's the same as the discussion on bringing down the voting age. You know, it's a discussion to have and a debate to have, and consensus will lead in the finish. You know,
absolutely. Well, I think I've grilled you enough there now. So, Martin, I thanks a million for coming in. Fair play to you. Like I said, you're involved here with Uncree all the time as well. But we just would like to say thank you for coming in, and hopefully that wasn't too bad.
No, and thanks very much for the chance.
More than welcome
to come in and speak to you and speak to the people.
That's good. Very good.
And thanks once again.
You're more than welcome. So that's it for this week, guys. Thanks a million for tuning in. We will be putting this up on our YouTube channel, and we'll also have it on Spotify, so you can listen to it in your car if you'd like to. Thanks for joining in, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.